Charlie always appreciated TikTok because of our shared values of connecting and building community. The belief that when we come together respectfully and learn from each other, we're all stronger. TikTok is a place of community building. It's where you'll find a math teacher explaining numbers in ways that make them fun, or a gardener sharing tricks on how to bring a wilted plant back to life. That's what a real community looks like. People talking, listening, and finding common ground. We shared that belief, and TikTok makes that possible. People love these segments when we do them. They want to hear from the kids themselves that are working on these campuses. So back by popular demand, we are doing a chapter president segment with Dino Fantagrassi from the University of Arkansas, the TPUSA chapter president there, and Brady Salmon, the TPUSA chapter president at the University of Kentucky. So welcome, Dino and Brady.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to see you guys again. So hold on. Dino, we met at the round
Yes.
in Student Action Summit in Tampa.
Brady was there too.
Oh, Brady, good. All right, there we go. Well, we're going to talk about some of the topics about Israel and Hamas and all this stuff, kind of how it's playing out.
Yeah.
We have Danny Phillip here, who's our resident Gen Zer on set. 23 years old, right?
Yes, sir.
Old man compared to these young bucks here. All right. So tell us how things are going in the wake of, what happened with Charlie, the tragedy there. What are you seeing on your campuses? Let's start there.
Well,
On campuses, I would say statewide, it's been going very well. We've had some issues with getting chapters started because administrators are really pushing back on getting chapters started in our region. But in terms of, there's a lot of them that are doing very well, and we're getting a lot of volunteers. And we actually have an event today that we're advertising for, and it's been going very well. So we're very excited about how we're doing.
Tell us about the event.
Yeah, we're having Paige Rue come in tonight at 7 o'clock. She is going to talk about the Second Amendment, and people are very excited about it. It's a very fun topic, and we're looking to fill the room to capacity. So we're very excited.
I love it. How many events per quarter do you guys do? It just kind of. And by the way, after in the wake of Charlie's assassination, are you seeing increased energy? Like you said, you're thinking you're going to fill the room to capacity. That's huge. Was that the case before?
I think we've sort of found ourselves in a bit of an interesting situation in Arkansas where we went from having about 75 registered members at the beginning of the semester. I think last time I said we were somewhere in the 300s. We're like 450 today at my chapter.
Way.
So the growth just keeps happening, which is really awesome to see. But Arkansas, we have this weird issue where we really fight this battle of the apathetic voter. People are just disinterested in politics because the state is considered so red that conservatives don't seem to care that much because they say, well, my state's not going to change that much. Well, that might be true. That might not be true. In fact, maybe it's the case that your politicians aren't actually voting for what you want them to be voting for. But because it's so red, you don't pay attention, so you don't notice that. I might argue that's the case.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. We get this a lot, and Charlie would talk about it a lot, how in red states, actually, by the way, he mentioned this about Utah, how when it's considered to be safely red, you end up getting worse politicians because there's not the pressure cooker.
Not less pressure, and also there's a type of person who goes into politics just because they like status, they like being with a group of people who run things, and in blue states they just default to being Democrats. In red states they default to being Republicans.
Well, I mean, this kind of happened in Kentucky where Brady's at. They have, Bashar is the governor there, and it's Bashir, and it's a relatively conservative state, but a lot of conservatives like to stay home, and that's how you get a Democrat governor there.
Well, and also Bashir plays the moderate and the
pretend.
Pretend. So, guys, let's talk about a couple issues that are bubbling up right now, and that is the affordability crisis. Gen Z kids are staring down a very unpredictable labor market. Let's just say with AI and robotics, automation, plus the H-1B thing. Let's talk about that. How are Gen Zers, especially those getting close to graduation, how are you guys approaching this issue? What are people saying? Is there a lot of fear out there with some of these people that are looking at graduating soon about the job market and about the affordability crisis? Dino, go ahead and you start.
Man, I wish more people would pay attention to this. I think some do, but when it comes to H-1B, look at a company like Microsoft that just a couple months ago They did a mass layoff, and at the exact same time, they applied for 6,000 new H-1B programs. And then they have the audacity to tell us that the United States has a lack of skilled workers. How can those two things possibly be the same? Either you're saying Americans are stupid and you went to college, went into potentially upwards of $100,000 in debt for nothing, or you are saying that it is simply cheaper to pay somebody from out of the country. It's one of the two, and I think it's the latter. And it's insulting to people in my generation. I wish more people would pay attention to it, and the reason that it persists is because they don't. And so there is still this perspective from a lot of people in our generation, more so sort of like the soft conservatives and especially the liberals, that, legal immigration is fine. Maybe some of the liberals will be like, but illegal immigration is bad. No, I mean, all of it is hurting Americans currently, for the most part. And that's not to say there isn't the occasional reason to bring in a legal immigrant. Probably there is. That's not even to say that there isn't a reason to bring in H-1Bs, but it's certainly not strictly bringing in the top skilled laborers. I mean, like, how many super geniuses are there out there? Not that many. And we have plenty of Americans here with some of the highest quality education in the world. So what are we doing? It's hurting us.
Well, Dino, what you're saying kind of relates to a Sovereign Bra tweet. 185, put this pick up. He says, older generations shouldn't be surprised if Gen Z is the most radicalized generation in American history. Their youth was stolen via COVID lockdowns. Their jobs were given to immigrants and AI, which you just touched on, and they can't afford basic necessities like the generations before them could. Now, you guys are very plugged in politically. So, Brady, are you, for the normies on campus, are you seeing this kind of energy? Are they feeling the pinch of affordability? Are they scared about it? Are they scared about the job market?
I think definitely. And it's so interesting. You get people that are in engineering, you get people that are in statistics or finance. It doesn't matter what it is. They're all very stressed out about it. And I think we're seeing that right now in the polls because Vivek Ramaswamy, in a state that Trump's won in the past 3 elections, he's currently losing in his race. So he is currently struggling, and he is very much defending the H-1Bs. And I think that's going to hurt him in his race. So I think people are really underestimating politically how much of an issue this really is. And to echo what Dino said, I believe Will Cain did an educational segment on Fox. 80% of these H-1Bs are entry-level jobs. So when you see people like Trump do these conferences where he says that these are for the super geniuses coming from Asia and India, it's like, well, are they actually really? Or are they doing these entry-level jobs, taking jobs from Americans and then getting paid a lower wage to save the company from having to pay?
Man, I think I really hope that people are listening to this. I mean, you guys are expressing and articulating political viewpoints about sophisticated topics that I think sometimes older generations don't understand, that you guys are this tuned into it. And so I'm going to ask this one more time, though. Again, you guys are very plugged in. Are you saying this is stuff that you are hearing from, just like I said, normies on campus? Either of you can go.
To some degree. I mean, I think a lot of people that I've talked to are more pissed off about the 600,000 Chinese students than they are specifically H-1B, which is valid. And then some people try and defend it and say it's fine. Didn't our own State Department say under the last presidential administration, Joe Biden, that a third of Chinese visa students are CCP spies that are taking our proprietary technologies and sending them back to their country? Should that not alone be disqualifying? Take out the entire labor market, or it costs driving up the prices of college admissions because there's only so many spots on a college campus. Take out all of that. Isn't that just a national security issue? People were mad about that. That doesn't even have to do anything with price.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's get into Israel in the final segment. We're going to talk about that in the final segment. Last question, I think, for this segment. We've got about 2.5 minutes left, guys. Without me giving you the idea or the topic, what would you say are the things young people care about most right now? The things they're most worried about or whatever. First to you, Brady.
I would say young people are very passionate about American sovereignty. And American sovereignty extends to H-1Bs where Americans aren't getting jobs. It extends to foreign aid to Israel and other allies. That's something that Gen Z is very much worried about. I would say that's a big blanket statement that it really does cover a few different topics where people feel like American sovereignty and powerfulness and individuality is really losing to globalism, to foreign aid, and to many different things.
So national sovereignty is ascendant. And are you hearing that from liberals, or is this mostly conservatives?
I would say mostly conservatives, where it's a really big issue. And that's talking moderate all the way to more radical conservatives. It's a very much supporting issue, American nationalism, that is very much widespread across campus for sure.
All right. What about you, Dino? What are people talking about? What are they worried about? Number one, number two issues.
I mean, I think I have to go with the same thing. He already touched on a lot of the national sovereignty. So the number two would have to be the economy. And I think, last time we were here, we were talking about, will Zoran Mamdani get elected or not? And he did. I mean, that wasn't really a surprise. It's New York. But a lot of the reason that this is the case is because whether we like it or not, the reality is Zoran Mamdani provided solutions to people in my generation. Those solutions were insane. He was promising free money, and there's no such thing as free money. But people will still latch onto that if the other guy isn't offering anything. I mean, you had Chris Cuomo, who is just Andrew Cuomo, who's just a complete joke. And then you had Curtis Sliwa, who's talking about the mob trying to kill him the whole time. The only option was Zoran in a lot of people's mind, because at least he was saying he was going to do something.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's why we saw close to 10% of Trump voters in 24 voted for Mamdani.
Yeah, people need to understand that the youth vote for Trump and the huge gains that we saw and what Charlie contributed to, those are not set in stone. Those are not guaranteed. We have to deliver. And so Charlie was always big on, especially in his final months, talking about we're in a race against the clock. We have 3.5 years, and now 3 to really deliver on some of these economic policies and make sure that life gets better for young people.